Sometimes your home is a refuge.
Al Adamson was going through a separation process and decided to move back to the city of Indio.
And sometimes it's the scene of your worst nightmare.
When someone's missing and you see fresh cement, you go, I wonder.
When you open your door to strangers,
Sure, Al was a trusting guy.
it's all too easy for evil to creep in.
It's the most horrible thing you can imagine.
In July 1995, police detectives are investigating a missing person and are summoned to a quiet ranch home in Indio, just southeast of Palm Springs.
The property probably was maybe 4 to 5 acres. There were 2 residential homes on that property. The main house was occupied by Al Adamson.
Al is the man police are looking for.
We just couldn't find Al. And I said, where is he? Where's he at? Is he in Texas? Or is he in Vegas?
Thanks for coming down, Mr. Adamson.
His brother's been trying to reach him for weeks, with no luck.
The report was that Mr. Adamson had left and just not told anyone about it.
I really started to get panicky.
We wanted to trace any movements that he had over the last 6 to 8 weeks to see if we could possibly locate him.
The first person they meet is Guadalupe Garcia.
She was a caretaker who lived in a mobile home on the property of Mr. Adamson. And she explained to me that she would clean Mr. Adamson's home on a weekly basis.
But Guadalupe tells police that she hasn't been in the house in weeks.
Pasan unos días, yo me voy para Mexicali con mis padres. Entonces se me ocurre y voy a agarrar las llaves y voy a querer abrir la puerta. Porque yo tenía permiso de entrar en cualquier momento a la casa. Y había cambiado la chapa. Pues, ¿qué está pasando?
There's a reason her keys don't work anymore.
Lupe, you're back. As you know, there's been some huge changes around here. I hired this guy to help me finish some of the work around the ranch, but that's the new owner. Apparently Al sold the ranch or something.
Fred Fulford, Al's live-in contractor, explains that Al has sold the property,
Seems like an all right guy.
but doesn't shed any light on where Al has gone. Al did have plans to sell his Indio home, but not until after it was remodeled.
It's definitely a home that needed a lot of TLC.
Al Adamson started putting a lot more money into it, trying to improve the structure itself.
And once inside, it does appear that Al has packed up most of his belongings.
Todos los cuadros que tenía mi tirada ya no estaban.
When we walked through the bedroom, she pointed out that a lot of Mr. Adamson's clothing was missing, as well as several suitcases.
Al's clearly not there, but he does have a long history of moving around because of his job. He's in the movie business. Hollywood is in his blood. He's born there in 1929 to Hollywood staples. His dad is Denver Dixon, a silver screen cowboy.
Al and I used to go with him and watch him make the movies.
And his mother, Dolores Booth, a star in her own right.
His mom was actually a silent film actress in the old Oregon Trail.
Unlike his parents, Al can't sing or act, but he desperately wants to be part of the show.
Al liked to perform, and we used to give shows out of the garage.
Al always told me he wanted to be a dancer, but he said he had 2 left feet and he just couldn't do it.
So Al takes another route.
No, I'm telling you. No, I've got this lovely lady sitting in front of me right now who is dying to be in one of your films.
He became a manager, an agent of singers and entertainers, and he became an owner of a nightclub, and that's what he really liked. But all of a sudden in 1964, he had an idea in his mind that he wanted to direct a film. It just came out of nowhere.
This true son of Hollywood finally finds his place on set, in the director's chair.
All right, everybody settle.
And he's a natural.
And action.
He had great knowledge, I think instinctively from being with his father, great knowledge of the structure of film. And the structure of film is the key to filmmaking.
Al's dad introduces him to Sam Sherman, an up-and-coming filmmaker in New York.
Well, we hit it off from the beginning.
In 1968, they start Independent International Pictures.
We wanted to make musicals. We couldn't get anywhere with that. So I knew a lot about horror pictures. Al said, well, if you think that'll make some money, we'll do it. So we got started on horror pictures.
Al is liked by his cast and crew right away, even if they find him a bit square.
My impression of Al Adamson was he belonged to working in a hardware store. in Fresno, California. He just did not look like a film director. I thought, gee, he's not glamorous, he's not hip, he didn't do drugs, he didn't drink really at all.
No, thank you.
But he had this ability to get people excited about the project.
This is going to be great. This is going to be a great movie. Cut.
It's not long before Al's movies develop a cult following.
Take your time getting to her.
Al made B-movies. Whatever was going on at the time, whether it was blaxploitation, or whether it were biker films, or horror films, he would sort of squeeze himself into that genre and do it.
He's had some great successes. Dracula vs. Frankenstein, as a little child, you watch it at midnight, and it was the movie you wanted to watch.
He made one called Five Bloody Graves.
Satan, sadism.
They developed a huge following. They became these cult filmmakers. Al Adamson was the king of the drive-in.
But eventually, life will imitate art, and Al will find himself in the middle of a real-life horror story.
It was horrifying. Horrifying.
Movie director Al Adamson has been missing for weeks, and his friends and family have grown frantic. But back in the 70s, the only drama surrounding Al's life is on screen.
Okay, cut.
Al is king of the drive-in.
Excellent.
And from the beginning, his undisputed queen is Regina Carroll.
Al used Regina in almost every movie he made.
He never looked at another woman.
It was like one of those once-in-a-lifetime loves, the kind of love we all hope to get in our life.
They marry in 1972.
They had similar interests, they were theatrical personalities, and I think they were genuine people, and I think they shared a genuine love, and I think the living together, the working together, the getting married, it all went hand in hand.
The 70s are hugely productive for the couple, but once the 80s roll around, the industry changes.
A lot of drive-ins were shutting down. So the changing environment of the entertainment industry, the changing culture, it just kind of boxed them out at that point.
Ever resourceful, Al takes the money he's made from filmmaking and tries his hand at a new game.
Okay, which one do you prefer?
Oh, definitely that one.
He got into real estate because he could make money at that, doing that. I seen him make 30 grand in 2 months. Al was very successful in real estate.
But in the midst of this success, Al and Regina are hit with devastating news.
Babe, you okay? What? Let me get you some water. Okay?
Regina had cancer of the brain.
Al had this great ability to believe everything, if you just prayed and worked hard enough, would work out. He devoted himself to Regina when she got ill, so that he was always at her side, holding her hand.
After a long battle, Regina dies in November of 1992, at just 49 years old.
She was very young, much too young.
And he was just devastated, lower than any person could be.
Overwhelmed by grief, Al needs a new project, something to distract him.
Al, it's Sam. I got a perfect project for you, okay? Brilliant script, you're gonna love it, and it shoots in Australia.
And Al said, great, I need to find an actress.
Enter a new leading lady, both on screen and off.
He was in Las Vegas trying to recover from this terrible loss when he met Stevie Ashlock.
How lucky did I get? I mean, he was just a card character. And I came down to audition for a movie he was doing.
So, you had a chance to read the script?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. A couple weeks go by and I didn't hear anything. And then finally I get a phone call.
And the next thing I knew, they had a romance going.
The movie soon wraps, but the romance doesn't. Back stateside, the couple is ready to start a glitzy new life together in Las Vegas.
He said, I want you to go home and pick out a house. I said, okay. It was a gorgeous house. It was an English Tudor house and just looked like a little something you find in Cinderella.
Their newfound love is like something out of a fairy tale. But most fairy tales have villains.
I had left the gate open that day because we were expecting the gardener to come. So when the doorbell rang, I figured that it was the gardener.
Hey, that was rude. Why'd you slam the door?
I don't know who that was, but it wasn't the gardener.
You're just being silly.
Hey, excuse me, can I help you?
Yeah, I'm Fred.
Hi, Fred, come on in.
Thanks.
Hey.
I was just doing some work down the street. I've been taking care of this place for the previous owner.
Oh, okay,
I
really?
put in the pool and I done all the yard.
Fantastic.
When Fred Fulford shows up unexpectedly, Al is quick to give him work.
Great. Well, good to meet you, Fred.
See you tomorrow.
Fred was in the right place at the right time. And as long as somebody was willing to pay him for something he stuck around and he did it.
Al was always about working a deal with somebody. You know, that was his nature. I'll work a deal with Fred. He'll fix the things. It won't cost me as much as I hired, you know, a construction company to come in to do them.
Before long, Fred is working out so well that Al makes a grand gesture.
Fred, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Listen, you've been doing some fantastic work around here, and I just wanted to say thanks for all the wonderful work you've done here. And so, listen, here's the keys to the Cherokee. I want you to take it. It's all yours, man. It's my pleasure. It's just my little way of saying thanks for the wonderful work. Man, thank you so much.
Good, yeah, you're welcome, Fred. Really, it's my pleasure.
All right, see you Monday. I won't let you down, buddy. Oh, no problem, Fred. I trust you.
When Al's brother Ken comes to visit, he meets the star contractor for the first time.
We did all this too. We did the tent. Isn't that nice? Nice dinner's there. Let me introduce you here. Fred. Hey, this is my brother Ken. Hey, listen, Ken, nice to meet you.
So you guys make movies together, or?
no, Fred's my guy. This is the guy.
Ken quickly learns that things are not as they appear with Fred.
That's the best one. All right, guys. Duty calls.
Yeah. Women.
Yeah, right. Can't live with them. I can't live without them.
Say that again.
Wife?
Ex-wife. Spoke with her lawyer on the phone just a little while ago. $800 a month.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. I might be able to help you with that.
What do you mean help?
Desperate times call for desperate measures, Ken.
What are you talking about?
I know some guys in Arizona. Fix that right out.
Fred, I'm just not that desperate, man. I mean... Come on.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Scared me.
Arizona, blah.
Yeah, seriously, hills have eyes, right?
And my brother said, oh, he's just talking off the top of his head. I said, okay, all right.
He was handy. He was a good carpenter and whatever you needed.
And he'd worked for us for a couple of years doing things, you know, odd things here and there.
Hey, Fred, come on over, grab a burger. Here you go, man.
The longer Fred works for Al, the more he comes to admire him, even if he gets a bit carried away sometimes.
It's a long day's work. Some good eats.
The most interesting thing that happened one day, I saw a man at the end of the driveway, which I thought was Al. Al! Al, come here, help us unload the car.
Hi, Stevie.
It was Fred, dressed exactly like in the same manner that Al would dress in. I was shocked. He started wearing his hair like him, and he had taken on the mannerisms.
Sweetheart, just...
To Stevie, there's just something off about Fred.
What to say to you? I've said it all. And I kept telling Al over and over again, I said, just give him $200, take him to the end of the driveway, and let him go.
But Al doesn't see it. Yet. Widower Al Adamson is trying to make a fresh start with new love, Stevie Ashlock. When an unlikely problem comes between them, their contractor, Fred Fulford.
Having Fred around the home and working with Al did cause a lot of friction because Fred knew from the get-go that I didn't like him. And I kept saying, please just let him go. Let's go just find somebody else. But Al said no.
Soon, there's even more to fight about.
It wasn't the same for him, I don't think. He lost a piece of himself when he lost Gina. And I know that he did try to remake her in Stevie Ashlock, but it was not the same.
I can't do it.
She told me, I don't want to be the new Regina. I don't want to do that. I want to be myself. And Al kept pushing me and pushing me. And that was the story of that relationship.
With his romance in tatters, Al retreats to his beloved California.
Hey, how are you? Oh, it's good to be home.
He had no place to go except back to Indio.
He's depressed, but he finds a distraction. Big changes to his Indio home.
So he called Fred Fulford in from Las Vegas to live at the house and fix it up so he could sell it.
Fred was willing to move out here with him and stay at this ranch house. It wasn't a palace.
The arrangement was that Fred would do work in order to have a place to live.
Hey, Fred.
Buddy,
how you doing?
How's your trip?
It's great. I got the right car for it.
Fred's not the only employee with this kind of deal.
Then there was a mobile home off to the side where Miss Garcia and her husband stayed.
Él no era patrón, era una familia, era parte de la familia. Y yo me sentía parte de su familia.
Between Al, Fred, and the Garcias, it's a makeshift family for Al. And a tonic for his grief.
Buddy.
Hey, Fred.
What's your present?
Oh, thanks. No, I'm good. Not much of a drinker.
One for me. I'll take it.
Oh, thank you.
Some bubbles.
Al was such a loner. Any person that spent a lot of time with him, he would try to form a friendship with that person.
I think you ordered this. You know I was going to kick your butt. Yeah, that's what it was.
Just a month after moving in, Fred's practically family.
Hey, look who it is. Your brother? Brother mine.
Hey, brother. Hey, kid. Everyone playing basketball in the rain on Thanksgiving.
Oh, my God. I completely forgot. It's Thanksgiving. Yeah, what have you been?
Want to get some dinner?
I'd love to. Fred, you want to come? Sure, man.
Come along, buddy. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Come on.
All right, thanks.
All
I'd
right.
love to.
Come on. Start
We
it.
all went to Sizzler right here in Indio. And we had turkey dinner. So he's treating him like a brother.
And whenever Al travels for work, he leaves Fred in charge.
Okay. Well, all set.
How long are you going for?
Oh, I don't know. A couple of weeks, maybe.
Al would stay there for a little while, and then he would pick up and go somewhere else on a real estate thing.
When Al would go away, he'd take care of everything.
Well, do you think you could leave me a credit card or something for I can buy supplies?
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
Fred Fulford was not able to get money to pay for the supplies. So Al went ahead and gave him this credit card to buy supplies.
Use it. Don't abuse it.
Come on, Al. You know me.
I'm kidding, buddy. Yeah.
Have fun out there.
Do well.
Let me help you out.
Oh, thanks, man. All right, Fred.
Here you go, buddy.
Take care, man. See you soon.
And apparently, Fred has hired some workers on his own.
Right. This is what I was talking about. This whole section here needs to be replastered. On this side, you can just do the patchwork. Just like around the lights, you can see it's chipping and cracking.
He even starts acting like the boss.
Aunque él me miró así como diciendo, esta es la criada, esta es la nani, la criada.
Miss Garcia, she never seemed to really get along with Fred. He tried to take over the role of caretaker for the property and to sort of try and just push them out.
Fred's getting very comfortable at Al's. Perhaps too comfortable.
Fred? Lupe? Fred? Lupe?
Al told me, I leave money on the table. Fred helps himself to the money and takes the credit card and goes, fills up his car with gas and comes back and throws it back on the table.
And Al is starting to notice.
That was just Fred, my contractor. He's not in my good books at the moment.
While movie director Al Adamson is away on business, things at home are getting a little weird with his live-in handyman, Fred Fulford. And soon, Fred starts taking control of everything.
Fred had this metal box built, welded together, so that a padlock could be placed on it.
How am I supposed to get the letters now?
You're just going to have to find someplace else. You're not going to be getting mail here anymore, senorita.
Meanwhile, Al's busy reviving his movie career.
He was just full of enthusiasm. He was the old Al Adamson.
Al isn't the only one back in the game. His old colleague, Gary Kent's just finished a screenplay, and he can't wait to tell Al about it.
Hello? Hey, Al, I've got a script for you.
Oh, yeah?
It's about a guy who's struck by a car, and he doesn't have the money for it, and he hits him on the head with a hammer.
Okay, sounds interesting. Why don't you send that over? Al, can you... Hi, Jerry. Sorry about that. That was just Fred, my contractor. He's not in my good books at the moment. Anyways, continue.
Al had not been extremely happy with the work that Fred was doing. While some of the work was okay, there was other things that were done that he did not like and he wanted redone.
Here's another example right here. Look what's this here.
I think it was more that he did not know how to do it properly. And much of that was done below the current building code standards.
And that's not all.
Hello, this is Al Adams. Excuse me, what do you mean? I haven't received any letters. No, I haven't received anything.
He was borrowing from my brother for a long time. And Al said a couple $100 here and there don't mean nothing.
But now, Al thinks it might be more than that.
Ken,
Yeah, hi.
what's wrong? You sound upset.
Well,
I am.
what's going on? Fred's ran up all these bills while we were down in Australia.
Fred, I thought you guys were buddies.
Yeah.
And I said, well, look at Al. Don't do nothing. I'll come down there tomorrow, and we'll sit down and discuss how we're going to get rid of Fred.
Ken was able to convince Al to wait till he could drive down and be with him there when Mr. Adamson confronted.
Hello, yes, this is
He
Al.
agrees to wait to dismiss Fred,
Yes.
but he calls his bank right away.
I would like to remove a name from my credit card. Yes, that's correct. Fred Fulford. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, you too. Al, is there something you want to tell me? Are you stealing from me, Fred?
Are you really asking me that question?
Listen, I just need a straight answer.
No, I would never steal from you.
Well, there's a lot of charges on my credit card racking up, and,
You gave me the credit card. You told me to buy what I need to fix the
There's no
house.
need to get heated about this. I didn't tell you to charge everything and rack up thousands of dollars on my credit card. The bank called me. So can you explain these charges?
I can show you all the receipts. I keep them in the trunk.
Great, I would love to see them.
Okay, all you have to do is ask, though, Al.
Okay, please, I would love to see the receipts.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Thank you. Can you let me get back to my work, please?
Yeah, work it up.
The next day, Ken shows up for his lunch with Al.
Hey, Fred. Hey, Ken. Is Al here? No, he's buying a car. What? Yeah. He's buying a car. He's supposed to meet you for lunch. Oh, man. Yeah, he left first thing this morning. A car.
My brother likes cars. He has a lot of cars.
Can I wait inside?
You don't want to go in there. It smells terrible. I just stripped all the floors.
All right.
Ken waited around for several hours, and when Al still did not return, he left to head home. He did stop along the way and call to try and get hold of his brother, but Fred Fulford again told him that he had not returned yet.
And when Ken calls the next day, it's Fred who answers once again.
Hello?
Can I speak to Al?
Sorry, Ken. He's already gone on a trip.
Did you tell him I wanted to speak with him?
He left before I had a chance to see him.
That's impossible.
Sorry.
I figured he was doing something somewhere else, and he either forgot he had the appointment with me, or he got, tied up doing something else with somebody else. So.
Stevie is next in line to call.
Fred answered the phone, and I said, well, I need to talk to Al, and he said, oh, he's not here. And I said, well, have him give me a call. And this went on for 3 days. But I'm up against the deadline because I leave on Saturday, and Al's supposed to be back by then, and I don't know where he is, and I don't understand why he's not returning my phone call. And now I'm starting to get angry. And I took off for Mexico with my family without Al, not knowing where he was. And that was highly unusual.
Weeks later, when Stevie returns home, there's still no word from Al. So she calls a mutual friend.
After I got everything in the house, the first thing I did was I picked up the phone and I called Sam Sherman.
Hello?
Sam,
Stevie, hey.
Where's Al? Do you know?
What? I thought he was with you in
It
Mexico.
becomes clear no one knows where Al is.
I gotta go.
Stevie?
Finally, a desperate Ken goes to the authorities.
Ken had contacted the police department and was very upset about the fact that his brother would normally just disappear like that.
Everything came back up. Nobody had seen him. Like he vanished.
As investigators search Al's home for leads, they discover something is missing. Something big.
Officer, there was a jacuzzi here. Mr. Al loves to take jacuzzi all the time.
He had 2 jacuzzis, one in the pool and one in the house. And he was always proud of that one in the house.
Al would never have removed that jacuzzi.
Miss Garcia was able to explain that in the mid part of June, some gentleman had removed the jacuzzi.
And in its place, freshly laid tile.
He said, when someone's missing and you see fresh cement, you go, I wonder.
Detective Anderson then felt that, well, maybe Al Adamson didn't leave the property.
They started digging.
On August 4th, after hours of digging through 15 inches of concrete, they strike something that's neither concrete nor dirt.
And then we found a layer of thin-set mortar. The outline of this layer was almost as if a person was laying on their side in a semi-fetal position.
Under the fresh concrete, detectives discover human remains.
There was chemicals placed to try to deteriorate the composition of the body.
They couldn't do a positive ID until they had the dental records.
They find a match. It's Al Adamson.
They found my brother. And I cried for 3 days.
Es triste. It was horrifying. Horrifying. There's no emotion. Your life stops. It just stops. After they found the body, they had to try to figure out who could have done something like this.
Police first look at the man claiming to be the ranch's new owner.
Ya estaba preocupada, pero cuando empecé a preocuparme más fue cuando Fred se fue y dejó al señor ahí.
But when the police speak with him, he claims he's simply been hired by Fred to look after things.
Listen, whatever it is you're looking into, I got nothing to do with it. Fred Fulford, you hired me to look after the place. It's a big place. I'm doing my best.
Y entonces yo dije, oh Dios mío, algo fuerte está pasando aquí.
Investigators turn to Al's financial records for any potential leads. They learn there have been both deposits and withdrawals made on Al's account since he's been missing.
We were able to identify the person that cashed both of those checks.
And it's not someone they recognize, leaving detectives to wonder just who is the stranger with Al's checks. Horror movie director Al Adamson has been found dead, buried in his own home in Indio, California. Investigators turn to bank records to search for clues to his whereabouts.
Since the last time Mr. Adamson had been heard from, there had been 2 deposits into his bank account totaling over $7,000.
Al had moved money from one of his holding accounts into another, and then made a withdrawal. But he's not the one who makes the transaction.
Looking at the video from the bank, we were able to identify the person that cashed both of those checks as Mr. Larry Petrie.
Larry Petrie is one of the workers hired to help out with the house renovations.
This whole section here needs to be replastered on this side.
As police search for Larry Petrie, suspicion shifts again.
Larry Petrie's been gone for days. We learned that both checks were signed on the back with the name of Al Adamson, but in looking at the security video from the bank, we were able to determine that it was not Mr. Adamson, that it was in fact Fred Fulford that deposited those checks.
Police track Fulford to St. Petersburg, Florida, and when they find him, his motive soon becomes clear.
No, I don't care. We have...
Step out of the booth, please.
He denied that he had killed Al.
Before, I was in the middle of a phone call. What do you want?
The credit cards belonging to Al Adamson was seized at the hotel. Documents with Al Adamson's information on there. The cars that belonged to Al Adamson, high-end cars like a Mercedes, was located there in Florida and being sold through a relative of Fred Fulford.
Fred was charged with first-degree homicide for the murdering of Mr. Adamson, for forgery, and then 4 counts of grand theft auto for the taking of 4 cars that belonged to Mr. Adamson.
Fred was in denial a lot of this time. It's not like as if he had a guilty look on him. He just was frustrated that it ended this way.
Larry Petrie is eventually cleared of any wrongdoing.
When we were able to get a hold of Mr. Petrie, he explained that Fred Fulford had written the checks to him and wanted him to cash them, allegedly because he did not have the appropriate ID to cash them.
Fred Fulford was going to the mailbox and getting the mail so Al wouldn't see the receipts or the bills from the credit card company.
Fred's extradited to California in November. On the journey back, Detective Lopez notes yet another odd thing about Fred.
I flew back to Florida to bring Fred back to California. As I looked down the hallway and I saw Fred wearing a suit, but it was very saggy. It was Al Adamson's suit. Fred really thought that he could step into Al's life. Having worked more than 1,000 murders, I really never encountered anybody who would do something like that.
Do I think Fred Fulford was trying to emulate Al? Al had been a movie director, and movie directors are attractive to people, and I think he got a respect or attention that Fred Fulford could never buy for himself, and I think he kind of liked that.
When the case goes to trial on October 5th, 1999, the prosecution paints a picture of what happened that night.
Something we need to talk about? You gave me the credit card.
Please, I would love to see the receipts.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Look it up.
It's all strangely familiar.
It's very eerie because the script I'd sent Al, the lead character in that film had been killed the same way. And that script was on Fred Fulford's nightstand in his bedroom because Fred was always getting the mail.
Fred knew he was going to be fired and was going to lose it all. When people murder somebody, they will generally use tools that they're most familiar with. Fred had to make a decision. Walk away or try to take whatever he could. And the only way to do that was to kill Adamson.
Fred then hires two men to dig up the jacuzzi, then covers Al's body with 42 inches of cement before laying down fresh tile, where it will stay buried until the excavation weeks later. It takes the jury less than 2 hours to find Fred guilty of first-degree murder. He's given 25 years to life.
I would have liked to see him hung or shot. I'm not overly happy about that whole situation.
I wanted the death penalty. I never believed in it before this happened.
What do I miss the most about Al Adamson is his love of life. The last person I expected to be murdered was Al Adamson. And I've not overcome it.
Pienso que todos los que hacen una película dejan una parte de su corazón y de su vida.
Although he was kind of, I say, sort of a straight arrow, he was still full of magic, and he brought a lot of magic people together for his films. And I miss that very, very much.
I'm still not over it. I don't even, I can't get too close to too many people anymore.
He was such a unique person. You always felt like you were a better person when you left him.